and they were up 10 games over 500. Then 20, then 30, now 40. It's progressively gone up every couple of weeks, and it should stay the same like that forever, God willing.
And listen, the key thing here is, and guys, I know you're watching this show because you're a gambler. So you have watched and heard the same solicitations, the same advertisements, the same marketing schemes that I have heard in my 25 years in the business. You hear a lot of guys say that they have the insider money moves. They have the Vegas wise guy moves. They have the late steam plays.
Right.
It's all BS. It's all marketing. It's all hype. Most of it's all make-believe. These guys just fabricate the plays, or they're sitting in front of their odds screen and going, hey, they had a line move. We're going to make that a play. Insider money moves is different. These are the plays directly from the Vegas casinos, from our sources, where the big money, the smart bettors are getting down on. And as Steve alluded to, you may not get these plays sometimes till 5 minutes before game time, because that's how it happens. But this is the insider money moves. Listen, over 40 games over 500 since it started 8 weeks ago. And in the football, NFL and college football, nearly 30 games over 500. And it's gotten off to a hell of a start in college basketball and the NBA. Again, try it out 3 days for free at picknation.com. It's the best way, and especially you want to try it here on a Sunday. You can get your Monday action. You can get your Tuesday basketball action. You'll see what comes out and then judge it for yourself and see if that's your piece of cake.
It's not for the lazy gambler. It's not for the casual gambler. Let me warn you now. This is for the serious gambler who's willing to do what it takes to actually win. Very easy to come get my play or come get your play 9 hours before the game starts and leisurely make your bet whenever you want, and that's fine. That's great, and that's been successful too. But if you're looking to really, really be a serious gambler and you have the tools and you're able to do it with your bankroll, there is no better option than the insider money moves, as the caller alluded to.
Hey, Steve, let's go to some other games here, top games on the board that we haven't been asked our opinion of so far by the callers today. One of them, Kansas City and Seattle. These two old days used to be division rivals. Now, of course, Seattle in the NFC, so it's an interconference game here. You've got Kansas City, a team that has been blown out in its last 3 road games, lost by 20 at Denver 2 weeks ago, 49-29, but that score was a little deceiving. It was 35-0 in the second quarter, the Broncos up in that game. You've got a Seattle team that's had won and covered 3 straight at home before getting annihilated by the New York Giants. But, have to put the but in there, that was a game where Seattle was playing without Matt Hasselbeck. They had Charlie Whitehurst, the quarterback, and the Giants just demolished them. Close price in this game. I really don't have an opinion on this game. This is one, I don't know which way to go. I'm just curious if you have any thought about it.
Well, not only has KC lost lately, like you talked about, but even the games that they've won, if you look at those games and the teams that they've played, they've really beaten nobody. Seattle's a very good team at home. They always seem to cover at home. Like you said, it's a throw-out game against the Giants. Very smart not to bring in Hasselbeck. The Giants were in a groove. They had knocked out 3 quarterbacks before that. They kept Hasselbeck for the next week. I think that was a smart move by the coach there. I like Seattle here at home. I think they should be the favorite. I think they should be 3 or 3.5. I think they're as good as this Kansas City team, plus the home field advantage. Why this is a virtual pick 'em? I think the public likes Kansas City, but it's baseless. I think you got to give me the Seahawks here in the virtual pick 'em at home.
Yeah, I kind of lean in that direction as well, and you're right. I mean, Kansas City, as I pointed out, they lose by 20 at Denver. They go to Oakland. They lost that game in overtime, a game which they had in hand, and then they dropped to 23-20. They lost by 4 at Houston to the Texans. But then again, one of the reasons that I'm not releasing a play on this is because I have no idea who's going to win this game. And there are times as a handicapper that you have to just realize there are certain teams that you just cannot get a handle on.
Right.
You can't. You're
For
better
me,
off
it's the
just,
Cowboys, by the way. Probably for the whole country, it's the Cowboys.
For me, it's the Seattle Seahawks. I know it's very easy to say, just play them at home, play against them on the road.
Right.
Well, it's just not that easy. And I would rather not take my money and tell customers to put their money on games I'm not sure of. That doesn't mean I'm going to be guaranteed to win, but at least I'm decreasing the odds that are going to be going against me because I've narrowed the field by getting rid of the teams that are just whimsy teams that I just have no idea how they're going to perform week to week.
Also, sometimes the teams that are evenly paired and evenly matched aren't great games to play either. The great games, the best game on the board, the game that everybody's watching. This week there's a big one, San Diego, Indianapolis. That's another game that you've got, two very decent teams. San Diego always plays Indy tough, but I mean, the only close to a sure thing there is in football is betting Indy after a loss when they're coming home.
But let me just interrupt here and tell you, that is such a false statement, really. And yet the public perception is that, yes, you bet Peyton Manning off a loss this year, 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread. Right. But last 42 losses that the Colts have had, the game after, the Colts are just 16-26 against the spread, 10 games under 500. And I know because I had them in that last game against Cincinnati when the Bengals came back to backdoor them. So, I've been on the wrong side of that particular game. But it's a very tough game because you do have San Diego on the road following the Monday night blowout. We have seen Indianapolis following a Monday night home game go on the road. Didn't work out so well for them a couple weeks ago when they lost at Philadelphia. And, San Diego has absolutely owned the Colts here. 4-1 the last 5 in the series straight up, including 2 playoff victories. They have covered 3 straight at Indianapolis. Very, very difficult game. But again, the marquee games are always the toughest ones to handicap, the toughest ones to win. I always say I like to concentrate the most where the odds makers concentrate the least. Right. And sometimes there are some of the fringe games. I want to watch as a fan. I'll be tuned in on Sunday night watching the Chargers and the Colts, especially since the Monday night game is so pathetic. But tonight I'll be watching that game, but you're not going to find any of my money. If I had to venture here, I'll tell you what, the Chargers, both of these teams have so many injuries at wide receiver. If Antonio Gates plays, he's going to play then probably, and Dallas Clark is out, the all-pro tight end for the Colts. I actually lean a little towards San Diego, but it's not like you're getting value here in the line. Indianapolis is a 3-point favorite. So I looked at the total. The total's 52 points in this game, and Denver's gone over in 12 of its last 15 games. Meanwhile, the Colts have gone over in 20 of their last 31. So maybe the over is the way to shade this game instead of going with the side.
Yeah, I think this game may go over in the first half the way these two quarterbacks light it up. But the one interesting thing when I look at this game is most of the time when you're handicapping a San Diego game, the first thing you do is give them the advantage in the quarterback column. So San Diego usually has that advantage over every team that they play, except this team. This team, I got to give the advantage, or at least I would call it even or advantage for experience purposes, to Peyton Manning. So because of that, that swings it to Indy for me. Especially Indy's a different team playing at home than they are on the road. 3 points, I would probably buy down to 2.5 just for insurance purposes. This is also a game where Peyton Manning could get him in position at the end, but Rivers could do the same as well. It's really a tough game to bet. If I had to bet, I would go with Indy here.
I mean, you are seeing the Colts in back-to-back weeks face the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yes.
Tom Brady last week and Phillip Rivers here. I think that you throw those two with Manning in a hat, it doesn't matter who comes out first. They're all the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. And the other thing is the Colts at home play at a faster speed. On that turf, right, in the dome, ideal conditions. But the Chargers can do the same thing. But this is a team, the Chargers, that's 1-4 straight up and against the spread on the road this year. Another but here, using too many of them. But remember, second half of the season, Chargers, patented run. Norv Turner always seems to get this team in a position to make its playoff push coming out of the second half, and that's exactly, they looked awfully darn good. But let's remember the Denver Broncos. They were the Denver Broncos. Yes. They beat up on Monday night. Yes. So very interesting. By the way, I had said that I lean toward the over. I'll tell you one trend that has really come on strong here in the second half of the season has been the overs. The overs are 27 games over 500 the last 9 weeks. 27 games at 77-50. So they have certainly taken the dominant position here. And I think we touched on it briefly in last week's show that you're seeing more overs at this point in the season because of all the injuries.
New rules also.
The new rules, right, because some of the teams or the hitters are far less aggressive, so that allows the offense to take some more chances.
And a lot more penalties being called that are extending drives, and these penalties are being called even in close scenarios where maybe it wasn't even a foul, it wasn't even a penalty, but they called it anyway because they're looking to send a message. And that message is we want to protect our players. We want to protect our quarterbacks for certain. We want to protect our big marquee names, and we don't want anyone putting a helmet into their helmet.